Hi, beautiful Arts Together students. So I hope that by now you've seen my video where I show you a few little things around my house, like my pets, some of my kids. I think you guys are probably spending a lot of time at home now too, so I wanted you to see where I was, and now you know. So today we're going to be making donuts. And my favorite kinds of donuts are made with yeast. And I don't know if you guys have ever cooked with yeast before, but they are magical little creatures. And they look kind of like a dusty little powder. I'm gonna show you. So they come in a pack like this, like a dry, dusty powder. So I'm gonna cut it open and pour it into my bowl. So you can see what it looks like. It looks like a dusty, sandy powder. But what this is actually little tiny, they're not creatures, but they're like a fungus, like a kind of fungus. And when you wake them up with warm water and sugar, then they start to eat and they start to make gas. So they eat and they gas, and they eat and they gas, and they make a ton of bubbles, and that's how you get light and fluffy doughs for bread and things like that. So anyway, here's the yeast. We're gonna put a little bit of sugar in. That's gonna be their food. And a little bit of warm water. And that's gonna get them waked up. Okay, I think our yeast have woken up. So when we put the yeast in, you remember it looked kind of like sandy and kind of like dirt, and we put a little sugar and some warm water. And what we want to see is the yeast making a lot of gas, so it should look like a lot of bubbles and gas. So let's see what it looks like. You can see it looks a little bit foamy and there's a lot of bubbles. So I think the yeast has woken up and it is working. So now we're gonna make the dough for the donuts. So we're gonna put this mixture in here with some milk and sugar. And we'll put some flour in. I like to mix this a little bit in the bowl. And then we're gonna mix it on the counter too, and I'll show you what that looks like. So right now we're just mixing it in the bowl. You can see it all coming together. And let's put the egg in. Okay, so I'm mixing this up. I'm gonna come back to you in a minute, and I'm gonna show you what this looks like when we mix it on the counter. You do something called kneading, and it's when we kind of mash the dough, and it'll be kind of like Play-Doh. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I dumped my liquidy dough out, and I have added a bunch of flour to it. So now you can see it's not liquidy and slushy. It's kind of like a Play-Doh ball. So I'm using my dough scraper to get all the way under the dough and mix all this flour in to make a beautiful, soft dough. And it feels amazing. I wish you guys could feel it because it feels wonderful. So we have our dough kind of mixed up, and you guys remember those interesting, wonderful little yeast that have woken up. They are in here with the flour and the sugar and the water and all the ingredients that we put in, and they are going to be busy eating and making gas, and eating and making gas, and eating and making more gas. And that's gonna make this dough full of bubbles. So when we cook it and we get ready to eat our donuts, you'll see it's gonna look kind of like a sponge. It'll be full of all kinds of little bubbles. So I'm just about finished kneading our dough. And so now we just need to wait a little while for the yeast to do their job. So I'm gonna put the dough into this bowl, and you can see it in there. It's pretty small, so we need to give it some time for the yeast to do their job and make a lot of gas and make this dough puff up and get a lot bigger. So we'll look at it again in a little bit. Okay, I just went and got my bowl of my dough to see if it's gotten puffy. And when we put the dough in, it was kind of heavy and the dough was small. So let's look at it and see if it's gotten big and puffy. Oh my goodness, it has. It is so puffy and big. It is ready to roll out and make our donut shapes. So we're gonna get it out of the bowl. It is definitely twice as big as it was. So I have a roller and a magical donut cutter and some flour. So let's roll this out, cut some donut shapes, and pretty soon we're gonna be able to cook them and then we get to taste them. So roll this out like this. I'm gonna flip it, put a little flour on it, and roll this side. It smells good when you use yeast. It has a certain smell. It's hard to describe what it smells like, but it's a sweet, and it's a good smell. It's a sweet, good smell. So we're gonna cut our donut shapes. They're shaped like an O. And we'll put them on our parchment paper. This paper is what cooks use. It's special. And when we put our dough on here, it won't stick. It won't get stuck, so that's good. So I'm gonna get all these donuts cut and I'll see you in a minute and we will cook them. All right, I've got my deep fryer ready. We're gonna get the oil hot so we can cook our donuts. This is gonna be amazing. So I have a special container that I keep my oil in so I can reuse it a couple times. So I'm gonna pour all of this oil in. Right now it's not hot, so I don't need to be too careful yet. But when it is hot, I have to be super careful so I don't get hurt. So now the oil is in. So we're cooking the donuts, and see in here they're frying up. They smell amazing. I cook them for a couple minutes and then I get my fork and I kind of stick it in and I flop them over to the other side. So what we've got to do is finish cooking them and glaze them and then we get to try them. And the last thing we do is we're going to put some glaze on the donuts. So I made some glaze and you just dip the donuts in the glaze, flip them over, and then put them back on the rack to get cooled off. They're still pretty hot, so please don't touch them. I don't want you guys to get hurt. Here's our last one. All right, there we go. All right, I'm super excited. All that hard work, and now I get to taste my donuts. I wish you were here to taste the donut with me, but maybe next time I make donuts, you'll be here and we can both have one. So, arts together, kids, I love you, and next time I'm going to make an animal train, and I can't wait, so.